What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I want to do a quick video showing you guys KDE Neon. Now, as I stated in the intro of the video, I wanted to show you guys KDE Neon. Now, I've done plenty of videos on different Ubuntu flavors, but I never really touched any KDE desktop environments, and I wanted to show you guys the KDE Neon one, which was actually built and developed by the KDE community. And as I stated, KDE Neon is based on Ubuntu. Well, and you know, Ubuntu is based on Debian. So I just want to go through and show you guys this actual distribution. I don't play around with many KDE desktop environments, but someone actually requested that I do a quick review of KDE Neon. So I want to, go through the installation as well as showing you guys the desktop environment based on my first impressions of touching this distribution. Now let's go on and step over to the DistroWatch page. I want to read a little bit about it so you guys that are new to KDE Neon can understand a little bit about it. So let's get started. Okay, cool. So I'm at DistroWatch's page. Here we go. KDE Neon. And just to read a little bit about it, I just wanted to cover at least the background of the distribution. It says the OS type is Linux, it's based on Debian, Ubuntu, and then the origin is the UK. And I thought that was pretty interesting, that it was actually developed by someone from the UK. So that's super cool. And I've known other distributions that have came out of the UK and different areas in Europe. I just thought this one was super cool that it came from there. But the architecture, you can see is x86 64 as well as AArch 64. Desktop, it says KDE Plasma. The category is desktop, live media or medium. The status is active, and as you can see, I thought this was super interesting as well, that its popularity is number 11. So it's a lot of KDE users out there. And I remember back in the day when I first started using Linux, one of the things I would get, or one of the questions that someone would ask me, do you use KDE or GNOME? Because those were the two most popular desktop environments out there, and it was kind of like a war or whatever. It was a lot of people on the KDE side, a lot of people on the GNOME side, and I really liked GNOME at the time. You know what I'm saying? That was like my favorite desktop. That's why I didn't get that deep into KDE Plasma, the desktop environment at the time. But let's read a little bit more. It says KDE Neon is a Ubuntu-based Linux distribution and live DVD featuring the latest KDE Plasma desktop and other KDE community software. Besides the installable DVD image, the project provides a rapidly evolving software repository with all the latest KDE software. Now it says there are 2 editions of the product available. They basically have a user edition and then they have a developers edition. The user edition is designed for those that's interested in checking out the latest KDE software as it gets released, and the developers edition is created as a platform for testing the cutting edge KDE applications. So super dope. You could choose between those two. It's actually 4 different versions that you can download, but I'll just show you guys I'll show you all of them or whatever. You'll see that once we get to the KDE Plasma or KDE Neon page. So let's go there now. And I already had a link open, is neon.kde.org. And as you can see, it says introducing KDE Neon, the latest and greatest of KDE community software packaged on a rock solid base, now rebased on Ubuntu 20.04, which is super cool because it's on the LTS version. It's basically all packaged and sitting on top of the long-term support release of Ubuntu 20. So super dope. Here are the social media links for the page, and then this is just a representation of what the desktop looks like. It says solid core, latest features, More than ever, people expect a stable desktop with cutting edge features, all in a package which is easy to use and ready to make their own. And I won't read the rest of it, I'll just go down here, but it says make computing your own with the Plasma desktop. And like I stated, the Plasma desktop is super cool based on, you know, me actually playing around with it, because I have used it in the past, but I just knew it was heavy on the resources. That's why I never stuck with it as a desktop environment. But we're gonna check it out today in its full. Let's go on and hop over to the virtual machine so we can go through the install, and then once we install it, I'll show you guys the desktop environment, kind of play around with it. That way, if you're new to KDE and you're interested, you can see, you know, someone actually showing you what the desktop looks like and how well it actually works and responds and all that good stuff. So let's go on and get started. I'm gonna hop over to my virtual machine. Be back in a second. And before I go, I always forget to do this, but I just wanted to show you guys how to download it right fast. You just basically hit the download KDE Neon. It's not that hard to do, you know what I'm saying. You can download directly from the repository, and they also have a torrent file. So this is the user edition 64-bit, the testing edition right here, the unstable edition, and then the developers edition. And each one of them has their PGP signature for verifying. You want to always do that, you know, just verifying you're getting the ISO from the proper location. And like I was saying earlier, it's 4 different editions that you can download, but most people would either download the user edition or the developers edition. The unstable edition may not work. It's good for testing, that's what it says, you know, and checking out bugs, or it will contain bugs based on what they're saying, you know what I'm saying. And then the testing edition, like I said, good for testing out some like software you may be developing or anything like that. So let's go down and hop over to the VM. Okay, cool. So I'm booted up into the live ISO, and let's go down and go through the install. It's very simple. Once you enter the live ISO, you can either play around with it, you can use the internet, you know, whatever. You can play around with the applications, but the easiest way to start the install is just to double click on the script on the desktop, and then we can walk through this full thing right fast. It's not that difficult to do. If you guys have used any Linux or Ubuntu distribution, they all pretty much have this Calamaris installer, and I believe this is Calamaris, yes, and it's Calamaris. That is the base installer for all like Ubuntu type distributions or Ubuntu based distributions. They all use the Calamaris, and a lot of other too, because it's a great installer. It's very simple for people to follow, you know, and install whatever operating system they plan on playing around with. But go through the installs. Like I said, it's very simple. You select your language here, hit next, and then you select your location, which I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm gonna hit next there. And then your keyboard layout, I'm gonna use the default because I'm English. You want to select wherever you're from, you know, select that. And then right here is the hard drive setup, so you can select what drive you want to install it. Just make sure you select the right one. Just hit erase this, and then you also have the option to encrypt. And then this is going to ask you where you want the bootloader installed, which we're going to use that virtual machine drive, that 32 gigabyte drive that we have selected up there. So let's go down and hit next there, and then type in our username, and then we can set on, or we can name our, you know, VM, and I'm gonna just name it Neon, and then type in our super strong passwords. Boom, and then let's just hit install, and I'll be back when it actually finishes installing, and it won't take too long. I'm not sure why this thing just went on and changed my display settings, but it's all good. This will go through the install. I showed you pretty much everything of the install. It won't take that long to install, but I'll be back with the system booted up, and we can walk through what it actually looks like. Okay, cool. So the installation is done. I'm gonna go down and restart the system. All you have to do is hit done. The restart little button is already selected for you, so it'll restart the system and boot up. So I'll be back when it actually comes back up and we can go through the desktop environment. Okay, cool. So it's rebooted back up. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to show you guys the login screen so you guys can see what it actually looks like. You can, obviously log in using your account, and then they have sleep, restart, shutdown, other options. And then also right here, you can select your desktop environment. So if you want to install another desktop environment, you can. And they have Wayland and X11. And I'm gonna use the X11 Plasma desktop environment. That's what I'm used to using. So I'm gonna log into it, and I'll fix the screen. And I'll be back when it's actually fixed and we're good to go. Okay, cool. So let's go down and move forward and show you guys the actual computer. Right now the updates are still running on the system, but I'm gonna just go down and minimize it so I can show you everything on the desktop. Now this is the main panel right here that comes by default. You have the show desktop button. So if we go here and open up, let's say this application that's already open, if you click this button down here, this will minimize everything on the desktop. So if you have multiple windows open, then you can hit that and that'll minimize it, similar to Windows, and other distributions. A lot of times they have that show desktop button, or sometimes you can move your mouse to the corner and it'll automatically do it for you. But that's cool. And the next thing we have is the time date. So if we click on it or whatever, that'll actually open up our calendar. And one quick thing before we move forward past this, I just want to show you guys how to configure this if you want to make changes to the actual panel. So all you have to do is hit edit panel, and this will open up the editor right here. And this is just a few of the things that I found while messing around with the KDE desktop. And yeah, it's similar in other distributions. It's pretty much the same way. You can kind of edit the panel, change things around. So let's say you want the switcher to be on the other side of the time date, then you can move it. You can also, when you highlight over something, it brings up the options to either remove it, configure it, show alternative if you wanted to show a different way. But let's move it back because I want to keep it the way it is when you actually install it so you guys can see it. So I'm gonna just close that out. You got to get out of edit mode by basically closing this out right here. Boom. And so the next thing is the network, and then also they do have some hidden icons. I'll go through those in a second. But you have your network settings, you have your devices that you can plug in, they'll pop up here. You have your sound settings, and then your updates, which I'm running updates right now. It's just an alert right there for you to say that they do have updates for the system. Now if we hit this little up arrow right here, this is some more of the actual options or statuses and notifications, things like that or whatever. You have your notifications, you have a clipboard, night color control, you have your vault. This is an encrypted vault, so that's super cool that they have that. Now I've never used it, but they do have it, so check it out. I'm pretty sure they have documentation for it. And let me actually move my face up on a thing because you guys can't see this, what I'm pointing at, but let me move my face up in the video. Okay, cool. So I threw my face up in the top right corner so you guys can kind of see what I'm pointing at right there. But this is the vault application I was talking about, and you have this night color control. I think my face was covering that as well. But then you have your battery, brightness, KDE Connect. So the KDE's devices, like if you have one of those Pine phones or something with KDE, you can actually connect KDE, or you can use that to connect to the phone. So that's super cool. And then you have the keyboard indicator, and then your printer settings. So that's just basically notifications. So if you got a printer set up, this will show you the print queue and all that good stuff. So let's go down and minimize that. But those alerts will pop up as things happen. So if you print something, you'll see it pop up or push everything to the left, and you should see the little icon there so you can pull up the queue quickly from there. Now let's move on to the left side, and this is where your icons are. And I like the way they use the icons. They just use strictly icons versus having the words underneath it. But it comes default with Firefox, which is one of the best browsers. I use Brave, which is Chrome based, but Firefox is also good as well. I used to be a heavy Firefox user until I found out about Brave. But also, let's click on the Dolphin file manager. That's what it has. Let's see what version, if we can find out what version it is. We go to help, and then about Dolphin, we can talk about what version is. 20.12.3. So good to go there. And that's the file manager right there. And then right here is the software center. So you can go through this. I'm gonna open it up just so you guys can actually see it. Right now it'll lock up most likely because I'm running updates from the command line, which I think I made a mistake by doing that because it's taking very long. It was a lot of packages though that it's installing, so that's probably why it's taking so long, and that's why I just went forward with the showing you guys the desktop. But this is the software center. You can go through and find what you want. You could type in the search bar up here, and right here is basically the featured applications. But if you go here, you can select through the different ones. They got applications right here. This is the total applications you can go through and find, and it's all categorized right there. You can go application add-ons. So these are basically add-ons to different applications that you have installed. Then Plasma add-ons, so you can go in there and go through and look at all your Plasma add-ons. Now let's go back. But one other thing, you can click right here. This will show you what's installed on the system. But I'll look at that through the start menu, and that'll go through, that'll basically list out everything that's installed on the system. But like I said, I'll go through that through the start menu, so don't worry about it. But here we got the settings, so you can change the settings up for the package manager Discover. And if we click down here on about, this will let you know information about the Discover app. Is version 5.21.3. And then you got your authors and all that good stuff, and then the updates, you can actually update it from here. And so let's go down and close this out. I just wanted to show it to you. But then they also have a settings menu, so this will open up the full settings. Now one thing I like about KDE is their settings, the way it's set up, the way it's designed. It's super cool the way they design it. And I know I say super cool a lot, but I really like the way it actually looks. It just looks, I don't know, a little bit better to me, the way they categorize everything, and it seems like it makes things a little bit easier to find. Like I said, I'm not a KDE user, I'm not a Plasma user, but I really like it based on me just playing around with it in other distributions before I actually touch this one. And just to kind of walk through this a little bit, you got your appearance scene, it's basically, this is where you can update anything on the system or change anything about the system. And they also have like personalization applications. You can connect to online accounts, KDE wallets, right here, stored up, shut down options, window manager options, and then like right here is personalization. I think I said that. Yeah, you got your user regional settings, network settings right here, and then you got your firewall settings beneath that. But under settings, network settings, you got a whole bunch of settings under here under networking. You got your proxy, connection preferences, SSL preferences, cache, cookies, browser identification, window shares. So yeah, it has a good amount of tools within under networking. And then in the hardware, you got all your basic hardware settings, printers, Bluetooth, power management, audio, all that good stuff, Thunderbolts, and then system information. So let's actually click on that so I can show you guys what it is. But it's KDE Neon 5.21 user edition, so that gives you basically everything about the system. So I have 64-bit installed, and then the kernel version is 5.4.0-70 generic, so we have that on there, and the graphics platform is X11. That's what I logged into. You guys should remember. And I only gave this thing 4 gigabytes of memory. I probably should have gave it a whole lot more. It might be done with the updates by now if I would have did that. And I also only gave it 2 processing cores, but whatever. And then you can update your system from here as well, or that was the update settings. Let me actually go to it right fast. Yeah, this is the settings for the update, so you can manually, and then you can set it on automatically if you wanted to. So let's go down and close that. Now let's go down and hit the start menu right fast and just kind of go through everything. I really like their start menu, and I know I say that about a lot of other distributions that I've reviewed, but this one is super cool too. It has its own setup, which, you know, I really like. It's similar to some of them, you know, some of the other ones, but it, you know, like I said, it has its own look and feel. It's KDE Plasma, and actually I've seen it look a whole lot better in some other KDE distributions, but I mean, it's pretty much good the way they have it set up. And I'm pretty sure you can go in and tweak it and look, because, and I think the reason I'm looking at it that way, or the reason I say that, because by default, whatever distribution I was playing around with, it had a dark theme on it, and you guys know I like dark themes, and so that probably made it look a whole lot better. But it has a favorites, it has all the applications. You can go through and look at all the applications that's installed by default. As you can see, it has Orc, which is the archiving tool, Dolphin Discover, emoji selector. That's cool that it has that in there already. Firefox, Gwen View, Help, iBus preferences. So pretty much everything. A lot of settings are in here as well. You know, it's just every little application that's installed on here is pretty much listed here. Oh, but that's cool. I see Simple Screen Recorder on here. BLC is on here by default. Now we can actually go through each category. So, and I won't go through each category, but that basically breaks out all these all application little tag. It breaks it all out. So all those applications I talked about are listed under here, under the different categories that they fall under. But that's pretty much it for the start menu right there. Let me click on this might take me to my settings. Yeah, as you can see, it's kind of bringing up the settings and the user information, so you can go through and change that up if you need to. That automatically take you there. And then right here was the places. That was one thing I wanted to show you. So you can click here and go to the, you know, your different places. So your home directory, desktop downloads, you know, all that good stuff is under there. And then also it tracks your history and frequently used locations. So it's all, I mean, it's basically a locations tag. And then right here is your power settings. So you got sleep, restart, shut down, and leave. That's basically logging out. So so that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to show you guys about this distribution. Just some basic usage on how to actually use the actual system once you get it installed, if you ever want to check it out for yourself. Now let's actually go in and modify or look at some of the wallpapers right fast, because that's something that I typically do all the time. Just kind of change things up a little bit. They got some cool wallpapers in here. I like the way some of them look. It is what it is. You know, just go through and find out what you want, or find out what you want to use. I kind of like these nature ones, you know what I'm saying? They'll look good with a dark theme. So you could probably change up your icons, you know, change up pretty much anything you want. So super dope. Check it out for yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comments boxes below. And I hope I did a good job on the review for anybody that's interested in KDE Neon. Just check it out for yourself and download it, write it to a USB or a CD, and go through and install it on some hardware. You know, it's super cool distribution. And anything that's Linux I love, and that's why I always talk about it, and that's why I always show you guys these different distributions, because there's so many out here, and you're bound to find something that you actually like in the Linux world. So check it out, you know, and I hope you guys have a good night and keep it techie.